Hello, welcome to Inspiring Women with ADHD. For some reason, I don't know if any of you remember the Enquirer magazine tabloid. It wasn't really a magazine. That used to be by every checkout stand long ago. And they'd always say, for inquiring minds like yours. That's what I keep thinking of, for inspiring minds like yours. So it messed me up when I was starting because for some reason that was in my head. And all that being said, I don't know if today's episode is going to be inspiring in any way. If anything, it's more of let's commiserate, shall we? Because I don't know, if you have the aspect of klutziness, running into things mindlessly, injuries, it's really nice if you have this to know other people who have it too. My cousin was just here last week visiting, which sounds like something that happens a lot, but it doesn't. We are the same age. We grew up not in the same town, but seeing each other every summer and holidays and that sort of thing. And we really do go 5, 10, 15 years sometimes without seeing each other. But we got to see each other in December for a gathering that my mom and her mom, another aunt, had. And then she and her mom were going on a cruise in Florida, and they added a few days to their trip to come visit me before they left on their cruise. So that was really wonderful. But it was nice to be around her because I don't know of anybody else who has this aspect of ADHD like I do, where she has story after story about tripping and falling in public and running into this. And, when did you break your toe? Well, which incident are you talking about? That's how I feel. I've broken my right foot 3 times and toes multiple times. And so there are a lot of injuries that maybe the average person has too, where you run into the corner of a dresser or something and have a bruise. If you do it all the time with ADHD, often someone will say, "Where did you get that bruise?" And you have no idea because you run into stuff so much that you don't even notice it half the time. But if it hurts really bad, you do notice it. And if it starts to bruise in areas where, maybe you're going to wear a skirt or shorts or something and you don't want your calves to be bruised, I have learned that, and you probably have too, that you run and get an ice pack and it can help. I've even been in the car before. Have you ever gone to either get into your car or go to shut the door, and that lower corner of the door can be so sharp and just scrape your leg? And if you have a water bottle with ice in it, or you've gone and gotten a soda with ice, that is an emergency ice pack. If you ever need that for your leg, it doesn't make it completely stop bruising, but it does help. But anyway, my most recent, what I'm going to call an ADHD battle wound, is very painful. So on Sunday, it was my granddaughter's 6th birthday, and she spent the night at my house because my son said that was her birthday wish, is to be at Marma's house. That's what my grandchildren call me, is Marma. And so she spent the night. And the next morning, I'm doing all these things for her. Well, we rearrange the couches in the big room we have downstairs to watch a movie on the projector sometimes. And they're heavy couches and they take up room if they're all on one side, but it works. But then we have to move them back again. It doesn't really work for the day-to-day setup, and the day-to-day setup doesn't work for watching a movie. So we have to work around, walking around other ways. And I've noticed in the past several years, and I don't know if you do this, if you tend to run into things, if you start seeing the world in a different way, not while you're actually, just going through your life and you get injured. That's when we don't notice the world in the way that other people do. They see things that they might run into. But as I walk around during the day or night, I think, oh, that's a potential hazard. That's a potential hazard. And sometimes I learn through experience of those hazards, but other times I can see them. And as I've moved to different places, I've decided that I don't want to fill up the rooms with furniture. A lot of people like to have, a little table in the entryway or something. And just seeing the pictures, we never saw this house before we moved in. In fact, we never even saw the town that we lived in. We'd only been to Florida once in our whole lives and not in this area. But I'm glad we're in this area. It's very green and beautiful. But anyway, seeing the pictures, the previous homeowners had a lot more furniture everywhere, stools, little tables, all these things. And when we moved into our house, I didn't even want bar stools or counter stools because I thought that's one more thing I could run into and one more thing to kind of clean up around. But so, yeah, so I think I don't want that because then I can't just walk straight through a room. I have to go more like I'm in a maze, and it takes more concentration. And those of us with ADHD, especially the inattentive part, we're not always paying attention, and if we're impulsive, that's another type, and you might have both. But the impulsivity, sometimes you just get up and think, oh, I want to get some water, and you're not even thinking of what's between point A and point B, and it's a recipe for a disaster. So anyway, back to being with my granddaughter. I have no idea what I was doing, but I was going from one side of the room into the kitchen, and I had a sense of purpose. I was going, I'm going to go do this. So I was walking, not just meandering walking, more like I'm going to get there. I wasn't running either, but the kitchen counter is the higher kind of counter, not the counter size. What do they call it? Counter height. It's the higher counter bar height. And it sticks out a little bit. It's not pokey or anything. It's not, it's not pointy, but oh my gosh, it just hurts just to think about it because this big chair was at the edge of the family room, living room, whatever we want to call it. It was close enough to the counter. And then the Christmas tree still up. Yeah, those of you who get my newsletter, I did admit my Christmas decorations aren't even close to being put away. I did take some off of some shelves and put them on another table, but nothing's put away. Anyway, I'm just getting January together, and I feel good about it. I'm making progress, and life's getting back to normal. But in some ways, it can't because of this ADHD battle wound. So I'm walking from the one side of the room to the kitchen with that furniture aligned differently and the Christmas tree. And I didn't see the counter, which is that, at the mid rib. I plowed into that counter. I mean, it's walking into rock. It's marble or whatever, granite. I walked into it. I thought I had internal damage or something. It hurt so bad. And it was just me and my granddaughter there. My husband had already left to go somewhere. My older daughter, I was the only one in the house with my granddaughter. That I felt, well, I didn't fall to the floor right there. There wasn't room. I kind of walked a few feet, 7, 8 feet over to where there was a little rug. And I laid on the rug and groaned and moaned and thought, I don't know if this will ever stop hurting. And my granddaughter didn't even notice. She was just playing with her toys and stuff, her birthday things. And I was trying not to scare her at the same time, but it hurt so bad. And from what I could feel, I thought it must have hit under my ribs. And that's the purpose for ribs. They're guarding our heart. They're guarding, maybe they're not our heart, maybe that's the term. Anyway, they're guarding our organs, right? Our lungs and everything. But it hurt so bad. I thought, what organ is right there that just, got plowed into? It took me, I don't know, 10 minutes or so to where I could stand up and walk. And I don't think I broke anything. I didn't hear any ribs crack or anything. And when I looked, it actually did hit the ribs, I would say. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it hurts. It did hit the ribs and whatever else was there. And I thought for sure the next morning I'd have big bruises. And I don't have any bruises on the skin. I'm not quite sure why, but it hurts really bad on the inside. So it's hard to turn different ways or sit for a while. And I taught my yoga stretch class yesterday with a disclaimer, and I'll say it today, but hopefully I'll be fine today, was I injured my ribs right here. If there's any grimacing going on during class, that's why, because I didn't know yet what certain movements that I do all the time in these classes, what that would, that would cause in me, if it would cause any pain or anything. And the simple things, in yoga, they do the sun salutations where you start with your hands together at your heart and you sweep them around and up and back down. That was one of the main ones that I was kind of like, oh my goodness, that's bad. But it just made me think we have battle wounds sometimes, whether they're physical or otherwise. We have things that happen that we carry with us for quite some time because of our ADHD. I've broken my right foot 3 times, 3 different places, but the last time I'm still having problems with it. And it happened in 2022. So I'm going to a physical therapist right now. See if that can be helped. She sounds positive about it, but I have to remember to do the exercises. Another ADHD thing. So anyway, I thought it would be fun to look into some of the things that happen, our battle wounds, or the costs that we have, the cost of having ADHD, whether it's a physical cost, but it is a high cost. And a lot of times it is a monetary cost. Some people call it the ADHD tax. Maybe you've heard of that. It was new to me just a few months ago. But I don't know. I am so picky with words, just like I am with food. Are you a picky eater? I'm picky with words too. If I don't think the word sounds pretty, or if it reminds me of something I don't like taxes, I don't want to use it. So I'm going to think of it more like a fee, like a late fee, surcharge or something extra we have to pay because we have ADHD. The ADHD tax does make more sense because when you do your taxes, there are certain categories of you get credit for this if you fit in this category. And there are certain fees or extra charges, extra taxes if you fit into this category, which would make sense with ADHD, but I still don't love the word. So anyway, I'm just going to talk about the high cost of ADHD instead. You can call it a tax if you want, and I may at times. But I'm sure you can think of a lot of these. For a long time, I used to think, why can't I keep up with this? This is costing me money. This is frustrating. And it is. So one is a late fee. Have you ever missed paying a bill because of a late fee? Thankfully, in this time and day, we have auto pay. But if you get a credit card and forget to set up your auto pay, or it's not just a forgetfulness thing. Maybe it's just things get so complicated that our brains just go, okay, that is too much. That is too much. Sometimes it's not as simple to set up a new account as you may think. They send you codes and they do this, or you run into some problem and they say the website is down. There are so many little stop signs or things that get in the way, that stop us, roadblocks, I guess is what they are, that stop us from doing it, that sometimes we don't get those things done. And to talk to somebody who doesn't have this problem, they say something like, oh, I always do that right away. Right when I get the credit card, I log in and make sure I set myself up for auto pay. Well, that's wonderful. But what if you're at the store? What if you're at Home Depot and you're getting a new credit card because you're going to buy a riding lawnmower for your front yard or something like that? You might not be able to do that right then. When you get home, you might see an email that says, welcome to Home Depot's credit, whatever. That would be great. But if you happen to open that email from your phone earlier and don't see it later, that's a problem, or just even forget it happened. And there are some hacks. There's so many little hacks that I've learned along the way, and you probably have too. But if you do open an email from your phone that you want to see later, just go to that little pretend envelope up above and click to open it again. And it's as if they never knew that you opened it, and it's there for you later, which is really, really nice. But yeah, there are a lot of things that get in the way with that. So late fees. There are ways around late fees. If you do have the ability to talk to people, and that can be a strength for women with ADHD, I have talked myself out of a lot of late fees. Sometimes it really works, and sometimes it doesn't. And that can be hard. It's not hard because I think I should get my way. It's hard because at those moments people look at you like, are you kidding me? Why would I give you that grace? And, yeah, why would they? Maybe they shouldn't. That's okay. But credit card companies are really, really good about it. If you ever need to call them and say, oh, I'm so sorry, I meant to set that up, and blah, 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 blah. Can I just pay it right now? Can you waive the late fee? Can you waive the finance charge? Because if you don't pay it the first month, even if it's a day late, they'll charge you finance charge if you haven't paid the minimum. So you can often get out of those things if you have the time for it. If it's not worth your time, you'd rather just pay the late fee, pay the late fee. But with the DMV, I don't know if every state in the country has DMVs that are hard to go to, like California. Florida's is a lot easier, actually. But except for the first time I went, they gave us a lot of, I don't know, we weren't able to get what we wanted. We had to make a second appointment. Sometimes it just depends on who you talk to. And that's just like talking yourself out of a late fee. Sometimes you just have to go back the next day or hang up the phone and call again and get somebody who can help you. One time I forgot to pay the registration on one of our cars. And I don't think they have the ability to do it on auto pay. And we have 6 kids. So when you have kids in college or teenagers and a husband who likes to restore old cars, we have too many cars that we would get registration notices for. And thankfully in California, they let you put them on non-operative, so you don't have to pay anything or do anything. In Florida, they don't do that. It's either registered or it's not. But anyway, and they take your license plate number away if it's not registered. California can hold on to it forever. But anyway, back to the late fee. One day I went into the DMV in person with the registration paper because I usually paid for it online, but I forgot. And I got a notice in the mail, and I tried to have a system. I put it on my physical calendar. Somehow I missed it. Now I have more strategies, like putting it on my digital calendar, sending myself email reminders through the scheduled send function in Gmail. At least they have that. Probably other email providers do too. But there are a lot of things to setting an alarm or putting it on your schedule to send a notice. And anyway, back then didn't happen. One of my ADHD things that I missed. So I went into the DMV. It was going to be something like $96 for the late fee. On top of it, it was like if you miss the registration, it goes up so much every month or two or whatever it is that they notify you. It just keeps going up, keeps going up. So it's the first time that it went up. And I walked in and I said, I don't know how, but I totally forgot to renew the registration. And the lady said, I can waive the registration fee for you. I'll just have you pay the initial. And this is, 6 weeks, 8 weeks later. And I said, you can? Oh my goodness, that is so nice. Thank you so much. I was so appreciative. So she did. Well, then about a year later, different car, happened again. I forgot to pay a fee at the DMV online. So I went in thinking maybe this is that when you go in, that maybe they do this. So I asked a different lady, is there any way that you could waive that late fee? And she looked at me and said, no. Why would you think I'd do that? Like, why are you trying to get away with that? And I thought, oh yeah, you're right. It was very uncomfortable, but she was right. So sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But another way that ADHD can cost you a lot of money is if you lose things. If you lose things that need to be replaced, if you need to have earbuds, AirPods, those kind of devices to be able to function at home to get things done. I'm raising my hand here. They are so easy to lose. They are so easy to lose. And I've had well-meaning friends give me advice on how to not lose them or how to always put them back in their case. Well, yeah. There are methods that I'm devising to not lose them as often. But it can cost money because if you lose one or two or both or put them in the laundry and need to buy them again, it's expensive. I have bought the off-brand backup ones, and that usually helps until I find them because a lot of times they do pop up. And then I don't hear my right ear, so I have to have the left one, at least to work well. I can put the right one in the left ear, but I tend to lose the left one a lot because someone will walk in, want to talk to me if I don't have a pocket to put it in or can't run into the other room. Just a minute, I got to find the case or put it away. Losing things or even keys. If you lose a key, my cousin, the one that I told you that's klutzy like me, she went to Hawaii. She's retired. She went to Hawaii for over a month. It might have been 2 months, stayed with some friends and then stayed in an Airbnb. She left her car at the parking garage in the San Francisco airport, or maybe at a hotel parking lot. It seems like the story was more like the hotel parking lot. So maybe they let her keep it there because sometimes you can do the long-term parking at hotels. Anyway, so she gets back to the hotel after this long trip and was going to go to Sacramento to meet us for our little family gathering. She didn't have her car key. She contacted her friends in Hawaii and it was there. And she only had one car key and it was the newer kind. My car keys aren't that new, but it was the kind that you have to reprogram your life. You have to have the dealership do it. It is expensive to have one of those replaced. And yeah, so if you lose a key, or cell phones are expensive, wallets, oh my goodness. I've never lost a wallet, but that is one of my running nightmares. Do you have running nightmares where you have a dream that something happens many times and then you wake up and go, I'm so glad that didn't happen? That's my dream with my wallet, either being lost or I just leave my purse for a minute and come back. And when I come back, my wallet's open and all my cards are gone. And I think, oh, I knew I shouldn't have done that. I think I told the story on here once about how I drove to Southern California from Santa Cruz when we lived in Central California and went to my daughter's house, and about a 5-hour drive. And I get there and find out I don't have my credit card. I don't have it. And I thought, wait. I had my wallet, but I didn't have my credit card. And I'd left. Did I even have my wallet? No, I didn't have my wallet either. I'd left it on my kitchen counter. Yeah. So didn't have my driver's license. Sometimes that happens. That's better to leave something behind than to lose it completely. Like my cousin, she was able to get her key from Hawaii mailed to her, but she needed the key to drive. So that not only cost her money to get another one made that she could use, but she had to rent a car and use it until that one could be made. And because she was going to our family gathering, she couldn't just hang out in the Bay Area for that long. So yeah, it can cost convenience. It can cost a lot of things. And, I hope this isn't discouraging for you to listen to because there's so many things. Okay. Some of these may not make sense to the neurotypical brain, but if you're like me, you're going to say, oh my goodness. Yeah. Cause I'm laughing when I look at this list that I've made. Okay. Impulse purchases, buying things that you don't need. And sometimes when you buy things impulsively, and it could just be, a new shirt, a new skirt or something. Sometimes you have so little thought in doing it. Have you ever, and it's not like I'm a wealthy person at all, but have you ever looked in your closet months later and see it and the tags are on it and you think, oh my goodness, I forgot I bought that. Yeah, that is buying on a whim. That is an impulse purchase. That is definitely something I didn't need because I didn't go home and use it, did I? Did I? But even if you don't lose it or forget about it, just having ADHD can cost you more money from doing that. Sometimes the level of dopamine that we get when we're low on dopamine, the dopamine that we get from buying something can fill that need. It's like medication for us. And people call it retail therapy, but it also can be, prescriptive benefit, like a medication. So if that's happening for you and you don't have the money, which a lot of times I don't think I do have the money to do that, I've really had to curb my habits and make it so that doesn't happen again. You have to come up with strategies to help with. I just wrote myself a quick note to remind myself to do an episode on impulse buying because it is a definite challenge if you have that hyperactive impulsivity part or type of ADHD, because it can be helpful to what's happening in the brain. But also, just like when you blurt out an answer, have you ever just spoken in the middle of someone else's conversation or in a classroom where someone else is teaching or a workshop? You just chime in before you even notice it. That's what can happen with the buying, especially online. It's so easy to do. You don't have to stand in line or anything. You can just go click, click, click. And then if you memorize your credit card number, That is dangerous. Yeah, I've done that. If you memorize your credit card number, that's even worse. So, yeah, I will give I wrote a note to have a podcast on impulse buying because I think that is a challenge for many of us. Back to our little list of other things is subscriptions. Do you ever sign up for some streaming network, Paramount Plus, Netflix? Some of them you may want, and you may be fine with having them forever. I feel proud because, I feel like I was there in the early days of Amazon when they just sold books, or I was there in the early days of Netflix when they had DVDs and they sent you one in the mail and then you sent one back and it was a DVD exchange instead of going into Blockbuster. So I think, oh, that's so cool. But now I'm not always wanting to watch Netflix. So I turn it on and off a lot, but I have not been successful with that with other subscriptions. And some of them, a lot of them actually, I've signed up for the free trials. The free trial with YouTube TV is really good for sports, or Fubo, things like that, to watch a game because the sports subscriptions are really expensive. Someday I might have enough money where I actually have one, but right now that isn't happening. And so forgetting to cancel it or having more than one, because what happens is if you sign up for more than one account, let's say you have 2 email addresses. I have actually more, but you might be laughing inside like, Renee, I have 5 email addresses. Yeah, I do too. I have at least that many. But when I first signed up for Amazon Prime, I did it with one of my emails. And then when that free whatever year was over, back when it was under 100, I think it was 79 or 75 or something in the early days, then I thought, well, I'll just sign up for it on my other email address. And I did. And then when that ended, I did it on my 3rd email address. Well, now I decided this isn't fair to Amazon Prime. I should just keep it on this one. Plus, it gets complicated, keeping all your stuff in one place. And then it wasn't a bookstore anymore. Now there's subscribe and save. There's all these possibilities, these addresses you want to keep in there. So whenever one of my kids say, what's the email that you use for Amazon Prime? Because they'll use my Amazon Prime to watch a movie or something. It is such an obscure email address that I used with a podcast I had in the early 2000s. So, because I called myself Brady Bunch Mom because I have 3 boys and 3 girls and I love the Brady Bunch. So, anyway, yeah, that's what it is. But if you sign up for multiple trials, and you forget to cancel one, you forget that you have more than one. Have you ever paid for a subscription on a streaming network and then find out you already had it on another email address? I did. I paid for over a year, I think, of Paramount Plus, and I was paying on 2 different emails. I think one of them I'd signed up for, and then I don't look at my credit card bill enough. It's tax time. And I thought, oh my goodness, some of these companies are really helpful. And they'll say, oh, I'll credit you for 3 months or 6 months. I don't know if I've ever had any do a whole year. But somehow my son signed up for Audible with my Amazon credit card because I put it in his name in college. And I think a year and a half we were paying for that. And when he found out, he talked to him and they said, we can't credit you any of them. And they wouldn't give him the credits that were bought from, $14.95 a month because they said, oh, those expired, which was super lame. So I called him and I think they credited us, 3 months worth, 6 months. I still don't think they gave us any credits for the books. It wasn't very helpful. It wasn't very kind. But yeah, that can happen if you spread your internet self too thin with too many email addresses, too many accounts, too many children that you're sharing things with, and you have no memory of it. I don't even know when that happened. It must have been when he was in college or something and he needed a book for school. But it's always worth, like I said before, with late fees and things, it's always worth trying unless you don't have time, unless your brain doesn't have the capacity and you just think, yeah, you can cook sourdough bread, but I can't. There's some things that we know that works for that person's brain, it doesn't work for theirs. So if that really doesn't work for your brain, or it's too much stress to even try, then don't worry about it. But sometimes it works out. My youngest son has ADHD too, and he thought he canceled his rock climbing gym membership when he went to college. And about a year after he was in college, we found that he hadn't, it was $65 a month. And I saw it on his either credit card, or I have access to his bank information. They refunded us all of it. And some of it, their computers couldn't handle that far back. So they sent us a check. Oh my goodness. I should go on and write them a Google review, a good Google review. Do you ever write Google reviews? I do it if I'm super impressed with the company or super angry. And there's a car rental place in Hawaii that has believe the bad reviews, that kind from me. That's what I like to start with, because sometimes you read them and you don't believe the bad reviews. So, or that kind of thing. So, okay. Other things that we might miss with our ADHD brains is, and this is tricky now because discount sales, sometimes you might think, oh, if I buy this, I got to sign up for my son's soccer before this date, otherwise the fee doubles. If you forget to sign up and that fee doubles, it's even worse if they don't get to play soccer because you forgot. So yeah, that is one of the maladies that come with ADHD. What about missing return deadlines? You buy things. Well, this is a loaded situation for people with ADHD, because when we have ADHD, often it's hard to make decisions. And even harder when you're online, because you get information from reviews, but then you can go down that rabbit hole for a million years. So you think, well, I'll buy them. I can't decide on the sizes. I can't spend time doing this forever. I have other things to do. So you buy more than one, or you're not sure on the color, and you can return it. And you forget to return it, or you miss the deadline. Amazon is really good about extending a deadline if you give them a call. I don't know if you've ever done that. They say they won't do it, but they do. In the past few years, so you can tell how long I've been doing this, but in the past few years, if it's really long ago, they might not give you the full amount. But there are some Squishmallows that I bought for my grandchildren during Black Friday sales, and I got them, and they weren't that cute. They weren't very big, and they were misshapen. And so I put in for a return, and I can't find them. And I looked to see if maybe I did return, and I forgot. I cannot find them. So that's one of the things as I put things away for Christmas. I have to find them, because you don't want to get stuck with things. And you know what? If you do, it's not the end of the world. You can give them to the thrift store or something, or give them to someone else that might enjoy them. Maybe they weren't that squished out of shape. I don't know. But okay, this one made me laugh because thinking about it. Have you ever bought things more than once? So this isn't just I lost it and I have to buy it again. This is I bought it and I forgot that I bought it. Have you ever done that? You buy it, and it's not like you're like, oh, I used it for a while and then I lost it. You actually put it somewhere and even forgot that you even bought it, and then you buy it again, and then later you see, I already had that. Amazon and online places are nice that sometimes the day or so later you think, wait, did I already buy that once? And you can go and look and see, oh yeah, it's in my order history. But I did that this year for Christmas. My friend Mary Jane, I don't know if she'll ever listen to this because I don't think she has ADHD, but Mary Jane, oh my goodness, I could talk about Mary Jane forever. Mary Jane was my next door neighbor in the early 90s in Pasadena, and our hearts go out to people in Pasadena. She actually still lives near there right now with Below the Fires, but she was my next door neighbor. She was a single mom with a daughter in high school. I had a brand new baby, and she loved babies, and I was the apartment manager, and we became friends. And we have been buying each other Christmas gifts ever since and sending them to each other. I moved away from Pasadena in 1992. And that's how long our friendship has remained as a gift-giving friendship. And I super love it. And when I say it was a gift-giving friendship, it's way more on her end than mine. And it is very much putting the story, making it mild, because she sent packages to my children from the time they were born for every event, back to school, St. Patrick's Day, everything, making it fun. Nothing expensive, just fun and wonderful. And when my high school son met her at my oldest daughter's wedding, because it got down to some point when I had 6 kids, she said, I'm just going to send things for Christmas. I totally get it. That's fine. And if you didn't even do that, that's fine. Now she just sends things to me and I send things to her. But when my youngest son met her when he was in high school at my daughter's wedding, he said, Mary Jane's a real person. I thought she was like Santa Claus. He thought as he got older that Mary Jane was another person like a Mrs. Santa Claus. That when we got packages, we said they were from, in quotes, Mary Jane. But it was really from Mary Jane. So Mary Jane, you're amazing. But okay. Yeah. So this Christmas, I buy Mary Jane a bracelet, special ordered from Etsy, because I thought, what a cute idea. I bought one of these for my friend's Mandy last year. She loved it. I think they're the cutest things ever. If I could, I'd buy them for myself, but I haven't. Some things you just only buy for other people because you don't need to spend that much money on yourself. I mean, not that it's 10, but spend the money on yourself. Anyway, a day or two later, I thought, did I buy that for her last year? I looked and yeah, sure enough, I did. Thankfully, the Etsy shop owner hadn't made it yet because it had Mary Jane's name on it. And I said, my goodness, I ordered this last year. I'd be so embarrassed if I sent her the same thing twice. Unless she lost it, that'd be cool, huh? And I didn't know she lost it, but can I cancel that order and apply it to another one? And then I bought her another bracelet because they were stacking bracelets. But yeah, that could be really embarrassing. And I've done that. I started doing that with my daughter with books when we weren't living near each other. I would order books at Easter time or Christmas time for her children. And then I'd look and I'd think, wait a minute, I just ordered this Jan Brett book for her, this Christmas treasury. Did I already get her that last year? And then I'd ask her, did I buy? And so I have a Jan Brett Christmas treasury for our house because I accidentally bought 2. But anyway, a year apart even. Another thing that might cost us some money with ADHD is when we miss an appointment. Have you ever had to either cancel an appointment last minute or miss it? And some places, like our dentist, thank heavens, and that wasn't actually forgetting. That was, I had a raging sore throat one morning and thought I can't go in. And that was the second time I got COVID. And I called her and said, my throat is so sore, I can't come in. So I think that's a good thing that I didn't. And I think it's a good thing they didn't charge me, but I didn't ask them not to. I thought, oh goodness, they're going to charge me. But she said, we do a courtesy first time no show. And we won't charge you, but after that we will. So I thought that was super kind. But I have paid no show fees before and are needing to reschedule. That's just a time waster. And it can also be a health thing. I talked about the Battlewounds and the health costs. That was going to be the second part of this podcast. That might go next time if you can handle another podcast of the woes, my tale of woe, like Jane Eyre. But yeah, having to reschedule an appointment can cost you more health-wise too. So that can be a problem. Okay, paying for services, things that can help us with ADHD. I don't actually see this as a negative because everyone with any kind of convenience that they need in their life, they could pay extra for that. Someone who needs a special car for wheelchair assistance or the wheelchair itself. Those are definitely some things that are going to cost somebody a lot more money, or the doctor's visits incurred because of whatever health condition they have. Those services are going to cost them more money, and we could pay more money for things like that too. So if it's because of our forgetfulness or not paying attention, last minute, oh my goodness, Mother's Day is tomorrow, I'm going to have to do expedited shipping on this or something like that to get a gift to my mom. Those kind of things could cost more in last minute planning. But even just I can't keep up with my house. I'm going to pay somebody just to clean the bathroom so I can stay on top of it. Those kind of things may cost more because of what you're dealing with ADHD, but hopefully it can be seen as a blessing and a help. Like today, I needed to get some craft supplies. I teach music to children at church, and I need to get some supplies to finish. And I was looking at the mess that I made in the living room because I got most of the way done and I ran out of the large popsicle sticks and some felt sheets and some glue. And to me, the overwhelm that comes with ADHD, it's not just with ADHD, it's just real life. It's just the older I get, the less willing I'm able to do it or willing to do it is, if you spend a half hour in the car driving to the place and then walking in and going to Michael's and then you're going to spend more money on this and walking around and da, 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 da. I realized I'm doing a free trial of Walmart delivery. They had everything I needed and it was at my house by noon. And I paid the tip. That would have been my gas right there. And even if it did cost a little bit more, the convenience is amazing, amazing. So other things, other late fees. Have you ever arrived late to pick up your child from daycare, preschool? I know at my granddaughter's preschool, it costs quite a bit if you were over 15 minutes late or something like that. That's good that didn't happen when my girls were in kindergarten, because I would forget all the time, not on the regular school days, but on early day. That should have given me a clue about ADHD. All the time on early day, I'd get a call from the school saying, your daughter's here in the office. And I'd think, oh, is she sick? No, it's early day. You're supposed to pick her up at 1. Oh, thankfully they didn't charge me for that. But they could have if they said we need to put her in daycare and it's, $10 an hour or something like that. But parking fines, if you put money in the meter, or you're clueless and don't even see the meter, or, you just forget to go back or lose track of time, that time blindness, or even just reading a sign wrong. Have you ever done that? In big cities, they'll have those signs that say, you can park here, but not on Tuesdays between 5 and 12 for street cleaning or something. And you're trying to make sense of the PM, the AM. Does that mean I can or I can't on Tuesdays? It's with the attention, the focus thing with ADHD. Sometimes we pull out certain words and don't see the rest or have a hard time of seeing the meaning there. Do you do that with text? Yeah. So utilities. If you forget to turn off lights or appliances or things that can make your utility bill higher, if you can schedule those in with a timer, that can be helpful. When we moved here, my son liked to we have a jacuzzi and he loves the hot tub. And it costs money. It costs propane money to heat it up. But every night he'd go out there and I didn't really know how to use it. We just moved in. My son was just here right before going to college. And he would go out and turn on the heat for however many minutes and then walk out to get in the hot tub and he'd turn it off and get in and then go to bed. And his last night here, I walked out and it was midnight. And I said, are you coming in pretty soon? He said, yeah. And he came in and I saw him come in. The next day, I heard a sound outside, but I didn't know it was. And then I think he flew out. He was gone. Then the next day, the second day, I heard a sound outside. The heat for the jacuzzi was on that whole time. He says he turned it off. He probably forgot. I thought about it. The thought came to my mind. Is something, but you forget about those thoughts. When my husband finally saw it happen, $900. It drained oh my gosh, that was expensive. It drained our propane tank. We have a really big one. And the jacuzzi feeds into the swimming pool. The swimming pool was like a bathtub. That was a very, very, very expensive lesson of utility overuse. And then just purchasing things that you buy too many of them because you don't know how to plan out for them. If you've done that with food, you're going to have people over. It's nice to have more than you need than not enough, but it can be expensive to do that, especially if the food can go bad. So what else? Guess I already talked about, hiring for professional help due to being overwhelmed or just not being able to get things done in a timely way. And then what about, are you still there? I just hope this isn't overwhelming you because it is a lot. It is a lot. There's just a few more, I promise. Because I'm going to save all the physical things that happen for another day. This is just the money things, but some of them are related. So, insurance premiums. If your accident proneness, your inattentiveness leads to things costing money for insurance or the premiums going up, that can be a problem. When I was in college, I came home. I have no idea what happened. But from all I can guess is I got lipstick or liquid blush, they used to call it rouge, on the bottom of my shoe. It was red and it was oily. And my mom said every room of the house had this red stain. How does that happen? How does that happen? And she was kind of excited about it because she said she couldn't get the stains out and they were everywhere. So she made a claim to the homeowner's insurance and they bought her carpet for the whole house. I would imagine that means the price went up on the insurance premium. That was for my mom. But even with driving, with car insurance, hopefully you're not having any accidents from unawareness, but it can be scary sometimes. And that is a really good reason, at least that my psychiatrist gave me, for using medication or finding some kind of supplements that can help you. If scattered brain syndrome, I'm just naming that on the fly, but if that's a problem while you're driving, because it can be scary, and it's scary driving anyway. There's a lot of people not driving very safely. So just doing what you can to focus while you're driving. And I'm thinking that I need to have a new strategy. The thing that gets me, and it's kind of more of an impulse thing, is when I'm driving somewhere, unless I'm going somewhere new, which happens a lot because where I live now. And then I think, oh, I'm supposed to turn there. I need to give myself direction, like in my brain right now, and permission to keep going, turn around and have it take longer. Because often I'll think, oh, what's the quickest way from here to there? Not cutting in front of anybody or anything, but that impulsiveness that happens in my own moment kind of scares me. So I need to maybe use my yoga teachings or something to kind of say, oh, okay, breathe a few minutes, maybe not a few minutes, but a few seconds, keep going, find a way to turn around and go back, which I've done at times. But the few times that I have been more impulsive about it, watch yourself in your own driving and see if there's any spots that you think, I need to be really cautious about this, and notice any times that ADHD may get in the way, or make sure you've had your medication before you leave if you're taking medication. The last thing here is eating out or spending money on food services that makes it really easy to eat at home. If that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do. And the high cost of ADHD doesn't mean that spending more money is horrible. Some people have more money to spend, and choosing to spend more money in one area, if that's beneficial to your life and it's not causing any negative repercussions, then that's wonderful. That's what you need to do. And there are a lot of people who do eat out more often because cooking is overwhelming to them. I make smoothies a lot or eat popcorn for quote unquote dinner because cooking is just not what I can get myself to do as often anymore. And that's okay. But if you find that it's costing you more money, look at that and see, what can I prioritize? What means the most to you? Is it some protein powder that you love? And yeah, it costs more than a lot of the things on your grocery bill, but that's helping me get through the week and be productive and make money or take care of my kids. But do I need that and the protein bars and the lunches out and that? Looking at that and weighing, which are you going to prioritize? Or maybe one month you buy one, another month you buy another, or find the restaurants that You can buy things, you order things that reheat really well the next day for lunch. I'm finding that with this pizza place that we have. It's not very expensive. They have amazing pizza and it tastes really good for days after, either cold or hot. And I feel like that's one of my meal bargains. It's one of my favorite new things. So looking at that and looking at how your creativity with your ADHD or can be helpful with this, because sometimes we can work ourselves out of little puzzles, out of little holes. And sometimes financially, we can look at a situation and go, oh no, how did I get myself here? And it can feel humiliating, especially when you're talking to someone else about it. You're just finding out that you were late on paying something. People don't call people on purpose anymore, but you may be face to face with somebody or somebody else is in the room. And for me, it's kind of humiliating. It's like, oh my gosh, it's so embarrassing. I am a responsible person. And yet I had no idea. I forgot. I didn't know I did this. And just like I was saying earlier, I don't look at my credit card bills often enough. I don't keep a spreadsheet of my subscriptions. So I've started doing those things. And if you look at any list or any things that you've thought of today, and if you're driving around, you can't write it down. You can't write it down. But if you've got a journal or a notebook or a calendar with some blank pages, write down something that stood out to you today. It might be credit cards. It might be online subscriptions. And make yourself a spreadsheet, whether it's just in your notebook or you like using Google Sheets or something like that. That's what I usually use. And I've started doing that all the monthly subscriptions. Same with my credit cards. I have my credit cards written down, the last 4 digits written down, so I can tell, is it in my name? Is it in my husband's names? Are the numbers the same? Are they different? Is there an annual fee? Is there not? If there is, and I don't want to pay that anymore, I can call in time to either cancel that card or ask them to downgrade it. In the past, I've had success with downgrading, but last year when I called one place, they wouldn't do it. They said, you have to pay it off and then cancel it. And so I did, but they won't always downgrade due to a free card. They want to make their money, I guess, like everyone else. But keeping track of that, especially if you do those deals with Best Buy or Home Depot or Lowe's, where you buy a refrigerator or a stove or some appliance for a year with no interest, you need to write that down in a place that you'll go back to of when that is due to pay it off in full. If you don't have it on monthly payments, that will pay it off in full. Because if you don't, all that interest will come and that will be another oh no moment of, I forgot, I should have known. Write it on every calendar you have. Send yourself an email. If you look at your email, send yourself an email. When I work with people, one of the most helpful things is to know, what are your habits? What work for you? Because if you're like my daughter-in-law who has ADHD, she hardly ever, if ever, looks at her email. So that would not be a good place for me to have her send a reminder because she's not going to see it. So how would she do that? Can she schedule something that will go to a place that she looks at every day? Can she have it go to her husband too? All the little safeguards you can do to help you or set that up so it's paid every month and it will get paid in full. I don't know if they have a way to set up a payment for a certain date in the future so that the last one gets paid. Maybe there is. That's something I should look into. But anything that you can automate and anything that you can put into a central document sheet or whatever to give you that information. I'm writing a goal to myself right now in my mind. I can write it down as soon as I'm done to do that with all of the live streaming that I do, all the TV services that I have, because I like paying for some of them. Don't know that I need all of them. And I need to keep track of that because I'm probably going to lose track of it if I don't. So anyway, I think that is it for today. I'm just laughing because I thought this might be a shorter episode. Maybe that's not possible. I think it is. Sometimes I think I want to talk about this, but I hope they don't mind. It's going to be shorter. And I never know how long it'll be. I do want to tell you though, and I don't know when this will air, but I am going to have my first guest spot on a podcast. Tomorrow, I'm recording a podcast with a woman, and I have no idea how to say her name. She lives in Israel. I'm going to say Rebbetzin Batchin Grossman. She has a podcast and invited me on, and her podcast is for women in business who believe in God. And she's Jewish. Her husband is a rabbi. And she told me that her name means wife of the rabbi, the Rebbetzin. I think that's how you say it. Apologies for anyone who knows Rebbetzin. I did go to Israel in March of 2022. My oldest son knows how to speak Hebrew, and he tried to teach me the word for bathroom multiple times, how to ask where's the bathroom, a lot of things, but just the sounds, I couldn't do it. But anyway, her podcast is called Connected for Real, the Connected for Real podcast. And the description is marriage advice for God-centered women in business who want an integrated life. And she talks a lot about being able to be successful in business and have a successful marriage and also be connected to God. I have only listened to a few episodes of her podcast. I'm kind of new to it, but I'm going to be talking about organization and how to find a way in your marriage, because of one of each of her podcasts. She does one a week. Each of her podcasts is either about business, marriage, your relationship with your husband, your relationship with God, your business, and I don't know what the fourth one is, maybe family. And so in one of the months, and it might be this month, she's talking all about organization. And so the episode that I am invited to is about organization in relationship to the relationship that you have with your husband, and how you work together to have order in your home, order in your life. And I'm excited about it because it's different than what I do on this podcast. I do talk about our relationship sometimes, and sometimes with our husbands or our children or other partners in life, business, boyfriend, girlfriend, that sort of thing. But this is going to be new for me. And I've never been on a podcast where I'm talking to someone else. I'm just talking to myself. But I have talked to her before, so I'm excited to see what it's like. And her podcasts are all about an hour long too. Some are slightly shorter, but they're sometimes even over an hour. So I'm in good company with her. I won't overwhelm her with how much I talk, but I'll give you information on that if you go to my website or sign up for my emails, and I'll come back here and tell you about it too. But thanks so much for being here, and go take my ADHD quiz if you haven't already. I revamped some things. There were some things that weren't working. I swear it took months. You know what it's like for the overwhelm and just the difficulty of learning new things. So I actually finished it this morning. So go try it. It's at the top of my website, renee.allen.com. Send it to any of your friends that you have. And that's it. Talk to you later. Bye.
Open windows, broken shadows. Frozen dreams are left for tomorrow. Without a cause, no time for a pause. The silence of sound has yet been found, but not by me.